Hello and welcome to a rather special Sunday repeated on Wednesday program, and this is
the Mojo Hand, the winning boy's magic.
Marge, this ticket doesn't just give me a seat. It also gives me the right, no, the duty to make a complete ass of myself.
But as for me, I'm off to battle aliens on a faraway planet.
Hello, operator, give me the number for 911.
Who sent you here? Can't talk, little man? Bet can't play none either.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kid?
Oh, bitch, bitch, bitch.
Kill my boss! Do I dare live out the American dream?
Beer. Oh, there's only one can of beer left and it's Bart.
Overload. Pleasure overload.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Oh, for the love of God!
Good morning, woodticks and patriots all across the North Woods. You've got Just Jim in the morning. This is the Just Jim Show from deep in the bunkers at Lake Wisheyebegone. You betcha. Where nothing works, our children are failing miserably. We have no leadership. And the little leadership we do doesn't have the cojones to actually do it the way it's supposed to be done. They feel outnumbered. I'll give them that. But whatever. On today's show, it's Wednesday. What are we today? 6/12. Good God, the year is flying by fast, isn't it? Yes, it is. I got a couple stories that we went off the air early yesterday. We had some DOS attacks on our network, and we'll see how we do today. We've had a conversation with a couple of providers, and hopefully things will sort themselves out correctly today. We've got a little bit of news. One local news. We're going to stay in Wisconsin right now. That's what seems to be happening. We'll touch overseas. We're going to take a trip out to where everybody likes to take their vacation if they can afford it. We're going to run over to Figi and see what's happening over there today. But on the home front, what we didn't talk on yesterday, and I wanted to talk about it. There's yesterday or a day before yesterday. The UN Small Arms Treaty is being bantered around again, and yesterday, 46 of our U.S. senators were willing to give away our constitutional rights to a foreign entity or a foreign power. I just, for the life of me, I can't remember ever seeing that in our Constitution, which our elected officials raised their right hands and swore on a Bible, or was that the Quran, and said that they were going to uphold the oath of office. We'll talk about that a little bit. Specifically in the state of Wisconsin, yesterday, we wanted to talk about this. There's been a push to get online voter registration going. Now, right now, there's still a judge out on whether or not voter registration is actually going to take place in the state of Wisconsin. We've had one victory, and yes, I'm a proponent of voter registration, and or the same holds true for if you want welfare, you better tell me who the hell you are. And you know the workfare, we talked about that last week or the week before, how the state legislature wants to rein in pretty much the freebie welfare system that Wisconsin has come to be known for. So there's a little talk here about Assembly Bill 225. Our Republican Representative Stone, it's got a long list of election campaign finance proposals. We'll talk about that a little bit. And there's another thing coming out of Breitbart and Fox News that says Wisconsin bill would bar police from enforcing any new federal gun restrictions. Oh, hallelujah. Can you raise the American Patriot flag? Could that truly happen here in Wisconsin? I tell you, there's a movement all across America. But there's also a caveat to that movement. We'll talk about that, too, when we come back. It is Just Jim in the Bunker at Lake Wisheyebegone for your Wednesday dose of reality on the Just Jim Show. And with that, as always, we will start with a little pledge of allegiance by a man whom I'll guarantee you haven't heard this in a long, long time. Again, Just Jim, we'll be right back.
Getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I'd work in the summer and I'd go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word? I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer, and that would be eliminated from schools too?
At Wisheyebegone Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Wisheyebegone Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001. That's Dave's TV, 362-3001. Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back, Wood Ticks and Patriots. I don't think there's going to be many Wood Ticks listening today, at least after today's show, unless they got the cojones to stand up and actually say what they're all about. Had an interesting interlude yesterday. We will be talking about that. Yesterday, like I said, we got cut short. We had some what's called a DOS attack, denial of service attack. Obviously, we were talking about something that somebody didn't want us to talk about. And that's okay. It's all right. We'll just keep talking. We chug away here down the bunker. Anyways, this was a story we didn't get to yesterday. And I think that it's extremely important, specifically because my senator was in this list. And I won't call it an honorable list. Oh, we'd have an argument on that one, wouldn't we? You betcha. Kiddies, moms and dads, make sure your kiddies keep their ears plugged. You just never know where I'm going to go and when I'm going to go there. Anyway, this was a post that came into me. That was about 8 hours ago, so it would have been probably 24 hours ago now. But this, basically, I'll just read it to you. Via Tony Guy, who's an activist, a nice conservative. Yeah, put him in the Patriot class. So I just received this email, decided to pass it along. Over the weekend, we came 4 votes. 4 votes. See my hand there? Talk to the 4 votes right there. Away from the United States Senate giving away our constitutional rights to the United Nations. In a 53-46 vote. And we'll talk about how that broke down. But you got to know, just take if you're a regular listener, you have an intelligent brain, you're already going to say, oh, I know how that vote went down. 53-46, the Senate narrowly passed a measure that would stop the United States from entering into a United Nations arms trade treaty agreement. The statement of proposal from the bill read, to uphold the Second Amendment rights and prevent the United States from entering into the United Nations Armed Trade Treaty. Now, these are the patriots who are there doing their job. They have maybe they've all read the Constitution. Most likely they're all lawyers, which you don't want to talk to me about lawyers. Sorry, some of you listeners out there, I know you got law degrees. I turned one down. The United Nations Small Arms Treaty, which has been championed by the Obama administration, the old boy, the village idiot, would have effectively placed a global ban on the import and export of small firearms. Now, if any of you happen to own one of those little trinkets, most of you will know that a lot of the firearms that are bought and sold, traded in the United States, come from out of the United States. Now, there are some people that are still make guns in the United States. Maybe they would like to see the import stop. But most of those organizations have an outsourced facility of their own and manufacture quality firearms and have them imported and sold in gun shops or, in the appropriate legal way to sell a gun in the United States. The UN Small Treaty, which have been this bill, which has been championed by the Obama administration. Oh, wait a minute, who is this guy here? This guy right there. This is the guy that's supporting this bill right there. And remember what he said when he was running for president, not once but twice. Oh, we would never trample on your rights. Have you ever noticed? I got to break in here. Sorry. Have you ever noticed the language that is being used by our elected officials? Me, party of one, would never violate your rights. People don't listen today when people talk, and their language. The English language, of course, we've got so many other first, second, third languages now in the country. But people do not listen to what is actually being said. When one party of one, says that he would not violate your rights, it insinuates that he doesn't have those rights. What is the matter with saying our rights? What is the problem? Well, ultimately, his track record is showing us what the problem is. And and after all, you do not want to tick this guy off. For anybody who's on the TV, come on over to the Ustream channel, Ustream / The Just Jim Show. Mr. President, picture of Chuck Norris with a telephone up to his ear. I heard you were spying on me. Not the person you would want to have make that call. What's the old comedic saying? You live because Chuck allows it. Yeah. Back to this. But people, please, patriots, listen very, very carefully to the language that is being used by those people who, while you get you up in the morning, while you're having your coffee, and you say, what the hell have they done today? What did we uncover today? That is the problem. No one seems to want to listen to the words that are being said and actually hold someone to those words. So this bill has been championed by boy. Would have effectively placed a global ban on the import of exports of small firearms. The ban would have affected all private gun owners in the United States and had language that would have implemented an international gun registry. What is this new world he wants? Huh? What is this new world his boy wants from Kenya? We posted Michelle, the old boy Mrs. Old Boy's 2008 little chit-chat about when they revisited Obama's homeland of Kenya. Wait a minute. Homeland of Kenya. Doesn't that sink into anybody? I'm going to preach this till the day I die. Astonishingly, 46 of our United States senators were willing to sign away the constitutional rights guaranteed by the Constitution. Do you get that, folks? 46 traitors sitting in the Senate. Oh, that's strong language, Jim. Well, how else can you call it? This isn't an interpretation of the Constitution. The Constitution is explicit. And when someone raises their hand, and I swear to God, blah, 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 and I don't mean to lightheartedly talk about the oath of office, because there's a group of people out there who understand what an oath is. And it becomes ever more apparent. If you're race fans, you're going to start seeing a car running around. We the people, oath keepers. They're busting their balls to try to pay to keep that race car on the track, to remind Americans that there's an organization, and there's more than one. Don't get me wrong. I'm affiliated with a number of them. Sons of Liberty Riders, Oath Keepers. But these are the people who are, if you don't know anything about them, go check them out. The oathkeepers.org, Sons of Liberty Riders, I think they're .com or .org, I don't remember. And there's 100 other organizations who are out there now saying that we, the people, need to hold our elected officials to the solemn oath. And if you raise your hand and take an oath, it doesn't stop when you leave office or leave the service of your country. It is an oath for life. And if you deny your oath, take your citizenship and get your sorry ass out of America. There's 100 companies that are socialist countries, communist countries. They will open their arms lovingly and take you in. And then you can have all the socialism, Marxism, communism that you want. 46 of our U.S. senators said, we don't give a rat's patootie about the rights guaranteed in the Constitution. And you're going to listen to a lot of talk show people. Maybe they'll start calling them treasonous, traitors. I don't know, but I am. And there is no explanation that anyone could give to me as a free-thinking person that would ever convince me that you had the right to give my rights away that are written in that grand book called the Constitution of the United States of America. And the preamble is just as grand. You need to get up, patriots, you need to get up off your couch potato asses, have some conversations. You're here, and I know you patriots that listen, you're hearing this day after day from me, but I can't do any other thing. This is the condition that my country is in. And I see it's creeping into every nook and cranny of local government, and the patriots need to wake up and attend local government meetings in however you can get there, or find a way to find somebody to record it. It's what we do. You listen to our streamers. They stream government meetings, and you should hear the crap that these people put out. Top of the list. And the 46 senators, of course, they went alphabetical, and maybe there's no A. But on the B list, Tammy Baldwin, Democrat from Wisconsin, who now just shoved a multi-billion-dollar farm bill through the House, through the Senate, trying to eliminate risk for farmers. Oh, we need to eliminate the risk for farmers. Now, I'm not saying, but that's the chosen profession that people walked into, either by inheritance or by choice. And a family farm is disintegrating, and I hate it. But there's a risk. You know, I planted a garden last week. But and if it fails, I'm gonna write to my Senator Tammy Baldwin, that I did not vote for, and I'm gonna demand money. Absolutely. She wants to give away money to eliminate risk for farmers. And we turn crop over, we burn crops, and we have starving children in our country. What happened to the cry, oh, it's for our children? You have to give up your rights because of the children. We have a summer school lunch program right now that's being funded by the USDA, my tax dollars, your tax dollars, that has now said locally they will feed anybody, any child who walks into our public school system, even private school students, free of charge. Well, and when I holler about spending my tax dollars on that program, right away, it's, well, you don't like kids. You what's the matter? It's only 2 cents. It's only 2 cents on your tax bill. You missed the point. It's my tax bill, and I have a right to say where that money's going. And it ain't to open a new welfare system, a new food line. If that's what America is all about, is food lines right now, we're in deeper doo-doo than we think we are. Tammy, you will get a call from me. I said I'd call you on the show yesterday. I can go find the thing. But the list goes on and on. There's 46 of these bozos. Village idiots. Court jesters. Baucus, Democrat. Bennett, Democrat. Blumenthal, Democrat. Boxer, Democrat. All Democrats. 45 Democrats and 1 independent. Are you hearing me here, folks? 45 Democrats, 1 independent want to chuck your rights under the Constitution of the United States of America to some blue goose-stepping organization that we call the United Nations. You know, we paid for this organization to start up, didn't we? Huh? As far as I'm concerned, kick them out of the country. Find a nice socialist country and go set up your shop over there. Because guess what? We got drones. If we don't like what you're doing in our country, yeah, we got some drones flying around. We'll put Chuck Norris back on the phone. Hello, Mr. President. I hear you've been spying on me. Udall. 2 Udalls. Warner, Warren, Whitehouse, Wyden, Stabenow, Shaheen, Schumer. Of course, you wouldn't expect anything different out of him coming out of New York. Schatz, Hawaii. Sanders, Vermont. Rockefeller, West Virginia. Reed, North Nevada. Nelson and Reed, Rhode Island and Florida, Murray, Washington, Murphy, Connecticut, Mikulski, Maryland, Merkley, Oregon. What exactly is it with all of these Democrats? Huh? Where is it we the people? Where is it? I will guarantee you, Miss Baldwin, that your constituency is not happy. By a vast majority. You have a personal agenda, much like oh boy, and now that you have a seat in the Senate, you think that you can push this down the road. This kind of crap right here is going to make you a one-term senator. Understand that, Miss Baldwin. You wave your flags of personal liberties, personal choices, personal lifestyle, and then decide that, oh, well, it's okay, everybody else can give up their rights because I don't want them. You understand what I'm saying, Miss Baldwin? One-term senator. Patriots, get up off your couch potato asses. This needs to be rectified. This kind of thinking. Why this happened, no different than old boy getting reelected, the head village idiot. How many states does America have in it? Why not? We haven't played this in a while. We didn't play it yesterday, did we? Where the hell is it? Oh, right here. Here's your, and you wonder why I call them village idiots. In 2008, when he's on the campaign trail, old boy, the Obama boy, states explicitly that he is so lacking a knowledge base of this country that we, the people, should have shucked his ass back out of the country then. Listen to this.
Just wonderful to be back in Oregon, and over the last 15 months, we've traveled to every corner of the United States. I've now been in 57 states. I think 1 left to go. Alaska and Hawaii I was not allowed to go to, even though I really wanted to visit, but my staff would not justify it.
Somebody didn't tell you when you need to shut up.
You're listening to the ramblings of a moron.
I actually want to thank you because you remind me of why I don't like people.
Don't take this personally, but I mean, you have no talent.
There you go. That's the guy that's supposed to be leading my country. I'm thinking not. 7 states, Hawaii and Alaska. Oh, and my staff wouldn't justify me going there. He's telling you outright, Alaska and Hawaii, you can kiss his cojones. If he don't have any cojones, you can kiss his ass. There's a quarter for the charity jar. And we weren't smart enough to just make him go away. And one thing led to the next. He beats, if you're on the TV side of the world, come on over. You want to see that. He beats this gal right here. And what does she do? Oh, I'll give you this big, powerful spot, Secretary of State. Oh, yeah. She sets it up for this babe right here. Race. We'll have talking points. We have talking points. We don't give a damn if they're correct or not. This guy's administration is a joke. From top to bottom. The laughing buddies. Here she is, taking an oath of office. You got it? She right there, Tammy Baldwin. You don't deserve to be called a senator. You didn't earn it. The Republicans gave it to you. You didn't earn it. And you want to give away our rights. You'll vote against it because the party, aren't there enough middle-aged people in America who understand when the term party rolls across your lips more than America, that you are accepting socialism, Marxism, communism? We will do what the party tells us to do. We've really dumbed down our kids by not teaching them and reminding them exactly what the English language means. We'll vote straight partisan. We'll vote straight party. I get dumbfounded when the people around me, who I know are patriots, just don't have enough, whatever, to totally question and correct that crap. Enough of that. For now, on to the next story we didn't get to yesterday. Now, this came out of by a gentleman by the name of Brian Sikma from Sussex, Wisconsin. And he wrote, excuse me. Actually, why not? We got coffee. We talked about coffee yesterday and how bad it's going to be in the near future. I don't know if you heard that story or not. If not, go check the archive out. Check out yesterday's story. It's split up a couple places, but we talked about how you coffee lovers are going to be in deep, deep, deep doo-doo. Right, coming up. Price, you think gas is expensive now? Hang on to your coffee shorts. Anyway, he writes, where does he write? I think he writes for, I forget. Oh, I should know, and I got to give him a credit here, too. Media Trackers. That's right. He writes for the Media Trackers of Wisconsin. Republicans push online voter registration. This came out the 10th. What are we, the 12th today? Yeah, a couple days ago. Republicans want to make voter registration happen with the click of a mouse on a website. Boy, I tell you, and the hair on my back just crawls up, stands up when I read that line. And trust me, I am such a proponent for voter registration. But that line right there just gives extreme concern to me and mine. Online voter registration may be on its way to becoming a reality in Wisconsin after a Monday committee meeting that could change an omnibus election reform bill with a 103-page amendment. Why do we write such voluminous laws? 103 pages. I don't know if I could write 103 pages in my diary for a whole year. Not that I write a diary, mind you. The amendment would alter Assembly Bill 225. So if you want to know what the base bill is, go look up on your computer. Just type in a Wisconsin Assembly Bill 225, and I'm sure you're going to get a PDF file or at least a government page, and you can go read to your little heart's content. Introduced by State Representative Jeff Stone, Republican, and contains a long wish list of various election and campaign finance proposals, some of which increase the flow of money from influence-peddling lobbyists to cash-hungry lawmakers running for re-election. Oh, does that sound like a normal pork barrel bill? According to the amendment, holders of Wisconsin driver's licenses or Department of Transportation issued identification card would be able to register to vote online at a website established by the DOT. Now, isn't there an election commission? Isn't there a GAB? And I'm not saying they do their job with any efficiency or fluency or correctness sometimes. But now we're going to bring the DOT into the election process. The online registration would have to be completed at least 20 days before an election for it to be valid the next time voters headed to the polls. Registered voters seeking to change the address on their registration would be allowed to use the system. Quote, the substitute amendment permits a qualified elector who has a current and valid driver's license or an identification card issued by the DOT to register to vote at an election electronically on a secured internet site maintained by the GAB. Oh, here we go. We got the GAB in here. We got the GAB and the DOT now going to try and work together, handshake, and know what each other are doing? Is this a feasibility thing or what? A Legislative Research Bureau summary of the amendment reads, after a registration occurs through the website, the GAB, or a local clerk or election board, understand how this is opening up now, would be required to mail a postcard or first-class letter to the address provided by the voter. The idea seems to be that if the postcard or letter bounces back as undeliverable or with a notation that the person doesn't live there, the registration would be canceled. So let's see. We've got an immediate registration to vote on a website, and you can pretty much anybody. I didn't read in here if P.O. boxes were going to be legitimate or not. But then you got to send a postcard out, and 20 days is the U.S. Postal Service, no pun intended, efficient enough to actually accomplish this? Mail a letter, postcard, and I believe they have to make 3 attempts to deliver, or somebody's got to stamp it, return to sender, sort it out, and get it back to the quote-unquote governing body, the GAB, and still clear the 20 days prior to an election. I'm thinking we have some speed bumps in this amendment, people. That Republicans would trust the GAB with yet another postcard mailing verification system is odd. I fully agree with you. In February, Republican lawmakers expressed outrage that the GAB failed to work with local clerks to mail out postcards designed to help remove non-existent or incorrect and inaccurate voter registrations. Well, everybody knows the last presidential cycle was absolutely flawless. Nobody ever voted twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Oh, there was a nun, if memory serves me. A nun. 8 times? I'm not sure. I don't remember if the 8 times went with her or not. But there was a nun that voted multiple times. Speaker Robin Voss and Representative Stone issued a hotly worded joint statement at the time blasting the GAB for the failure. The GAB is undermining the integrity of our election process, Voss declared. And he was and is absolutely correct. Yet now, for whatever reason, he seems to be in bed with this idea. And is this only because that they feel, the Republicans, and there we go, the party, once again, there's party not American or Wisconsin, is creeping to the forefront. That the party says, this is the way we think we can get this. We'll get something and then we'll worry about its correctness later. That is such rhetoric in today's government. We'll get this because we can get it passed. Not that it's the correct thing to get passed, but it is the only thing that we think we can pass without a lot of argument. Stone said that GAB was violating the law by disregarding existing requirements that postcards be mailed to verify the location of voters. Quote, it is concerning that this failure by the GAB has left the door open for voter fraud by failing to purge the voter list in a timely manner, he fumed. The Assembly Committee on Campaigns and Elections, that's a web link, is scheduled to meet, there's a meeting scheduler, hot link, at noon on Monday in executive session. Now, wait a minute, does everybody know what an executive session is? Politicians, some people do. Executive session is a closed-door meeting. They have to open up an open meeting, then they go into closed, discuss, and it has to be posted on their agenda for the committee. Knowledge is deadly, folks. You need to learn the process by which our government works and make them live by the letter of the law, which is going to take me to a conversation about yesterday. Here's a copy of the substitute amendment, and it's a hot link, 13S0081-1. Article is lifted with permission from media trackers by Brian. And thanks, Brian. Well done article. I appreciate the two sides of the look. You're looking at two sides of the issue, and that's absolutely correct. What is going on here? And I think, let me just go back to my frustration, or one of them. The difference between a patriot and a conservative and a liberal and a libtard. That's about it. It's really not two parties anymore. There are those, and the Tea Party runs into that patriot-conservative list. They're not quite totally patriot. And, I'll catch hell for that one, won't I? But there truly is a defining line, and it's a personal choice, where you say, I'm either a conservative, that means that I'm going to bargain, barter, negotiate, and the patriot will say, I'm sorry, you cannot do that. And I don't need to talk about the liberals, progressives, and libtards, because they think in a group mentality, which I said I was going to talk about this, and I will when I come right back after this, after we pay some bills. Hey, we got to pay bills every once in a while. Hey, you got Just Jim in the morning from the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegone.
At Hode Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hode Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today.
Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you
station.
ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back, Patriots. I don't know if there's any wood ticks left or not, but hey, we're here, having a good time in the bunker. I guess I'm going to come back in where I left off. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not just yet. Yeah, I guess I am. I got to talk about it. Why play the game, right? You see something, you don't like it, you got to let it go. We're talking about liberals, progressives, and I was asked yesterday, what do you mean by a progressive? Progressive politician or progressive politics? Everybody sort of kind of, I guess, defines what a liberal is. But a progressive is a person who not only sees in their limited scope a progressive sees not only what a liberal does, but the motivation and mentality that everybody has to move in that direction for the betterment of society as a whole at the expense of the whole. That everyone needs to put their chips on the table and then see what's there and then divide it up equally. So welcome to when old boys talks about redistribution of wealth. The socialist, that's communism is what it is. It's Marxism and communism. Socialism is the politically correct term for a communist. The ability for a governing body to determine that, well, as I heard a quote last night, while it met the letter of the law, well, I don't think it met the spirit of the law. Just because nobody showed up. We have to have another special meeting. We have to have other people pay to provide bigger advertising about the meeting. I'm going to tell you something, my socialist communist friend, that the letter of the law is exactly what the letter of the law means. And if we, the people, follow the letter of the law, it is what it is at that stage of the game. To muster some socialist mentality that we just didn't have time. I know you look into your crystal ball. Progressives look into the crystal ball and state with total certainty that there must be more feelings like this out there. We just haven't had time to find them. And that when they say we haven't had time to find them, that means that you who are here now voicing your opinion by the legal process of the law have to now stop. You don't get what it is you want, and pay so that my point of view can be brought to the table at another time and place. That is exactly what a progressive does. Take a look at we just did the story on the gun vote with the UN. This batch of bozos that are running around in the administration, picture after picture, let no emergency go to waste. Yeah. The greatest failure we've had in gun violence is known as Fast and Furious. This is my last election, Obama observed. After my election, I have more flexibility. I understand, responded Medvedev. I will transmit this information to Vladimir. And then you have the political agendas. Unbelievable. Bring in second-generation commies to an administration as a consultant. Take the administration monkeys and give them the position that enables them to acquire executive clemency, executive privilege. Some people just say, well, it's a political arena jockeying, as it were. I don't buy it. I totally believe it is a designated. There's a roadmap out there that's leading progressives right to where we are today, and patriots have not been prepared. Most people, and most patriots are conservatives, but I tell you, folks, I do know some Democratic patriots. It shows no party allegiance. We can get into the whole political belief structure, but I'm not going there. But I'm going to tell you that it is creeping, this mentality of progressive politics is creeping into the smallest nook and cranny in the smallest community in America, in rural America. The infiltration has almost been complete, much against the warning of a lot of alternative news source people. Here's an article that came out through Breitbart, I think it was, Breitbart and Fox News. Wisconsin would bar, a new bill in Wisconsin is being proposed. I don't know about you, but in my community, I got kamikaze mosquitoes. They're bad this year. Anyway, a Wisconsin bill would bar police from enforcing any new federal gun restrictions. Hallelujah. Can we raise the flag on that one? Madison, Wisconsin. As I've been saying for months, if not years. Are you listening, Madison? Do we know the 14th Amendment? Wisconsin police would be forbidden from enforcing any new federal gun ammunition restrictions, bans registration requirements under a bill Republican lawmaker is circulating. Representative Michael Skra of Oshkosh, a first-term legislator and member of the National Rifle Association, hallelujah, sent out an email to his fellow lawmakers seeking co-sponsors for the proposal. He also issued a statement to the media saying the bill is me, send a message that is mine, sending a message that Wisconsin won't help the federal government restrict the public's constitutional right to bear arms. Hallelujah, brother. I'm not this cowboy, gun-toting legislator, he said in an interview. I just think it's ultimately important to protect constitutional rights. When I raised my hand on January 7th and took the oath of office, remember I just talked about this, didn't I? When you raise your hand, Miss Baldwin, you take an oath of office. I took an oath that I would defend the Wisconsin Constitution and the federal Constitution. That is the motivating factor. And all of the progressives and libtards out there will not acknowledge that as a point of fact. You have an ulterior motive. You have this, you have that. You're NRA backed. It doesn't matter about You took an oath. Didn't you read and understand the oath that you took? Obviously, 46 senators did not. The bill comes after President Obama's. States don't get to pick and choose what federal laws applies to the states or not, Danow said. No, I'm sorry, I got to go back. Chris Danow, another Democrat from Trempealeau, said he thought the Civil War determined that federal law preempts state law. He thinks that? Son, you need to go back to school. Why don't you take some time off from being a legislator and go back to school? States don't get to pick what federal laws apply to states and what do not. This is settled law. The Bill of Rights not rational. The bill is not rational, quote unquote. Sorry, I cut some of the end of my thing off here. The bill comes after President Obama introduced a gun control plan in the wake of the mass shootings at Sandy Hook School in Newtown, Connecticut in December. The president's proposal included banning assault-style rifles. And I'm going to tell you, they couldn't tell you what an assault-style rifle is until it's used in an assault. And magazines that have more than 10 rounds. By God, you defend America with 50 M50s with 500,000 rounds of ammunition, but you come back home and you can't have any more than 7 bullets. Who the hell do you think you people are? The plan ultimately died in the Senate, but the president urged supporters to push Congress to reconsider the issue. And you want to know that's exactly what they're doing. Under Schra's bill, a state local law enforcement officer would be prohibited from enforcing any federal law, act, rule, regulation, or order enacted after January 1st, 2013. That bans or restricts semi-automatic weapons, assault weapons, or magazines, required people to register their gun, ammunition, or other firearms and accessories, regulates magazine capacities or how much ammunition you can possess. You know, I have always said that SOB down the street should not have that Cadillac. It's my I need to have the Cadillac, not him. That's what a progressive says. Any police officer who knowingly enforces any of these federal statutes or orders will be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by up to $10,000 in fines and 9 months in jail. See, I'm of the opinion that we don't need to say would be or could be. An officer of the law is supposed to know the law. If you violate that knowledge or don't have the knowledge, maybe you shouldn't be a police officer. The law is not there for interpretive. That's what the courts are for. Separation of powers. And the measure would also, and a judge, you get a liberal judge, a libtard judge, say, well, I'll fine you $1. If you're going to make the fine stick. It's going to cost you $5,000. You violate this law. Know the law. And if you're not sure, you damn well better be on the radio to somebody back at the home office that knows the law. And if you violate it and you don't follow the procedure, I say this all the time. It isn't always what you do. Well, yes, it is. But it's the procedure by which you do it that will always sink your ship or keep your ship afloat. If you follow the procedure, the letter of the law, like we talked about in the local meeting the other night. Well, it met the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. That is for a court to decide, a judiciary group of people that we pay to interpret the laws, ultimately the Supreme Court, who hasn't been doing very good lately. The measure would also specify that guns manufactured in Wisconsin and stamped made in Wisconsin haven't traveled the state lines and aren't subject to federal interstate commerce clause. Some gun advocates fear the federal government may argue the commerce clause gives it the ability to regulate weapon movements within the state. Eight other states have adopted similar provisions, according to the Council on State Governments. Now, the proposal would ban doctors from asking patients about whether they own guns. Have you listeners been to a doctor lately and heard the new questionnaire forms? Wow. But if you listen to us or to me, this little book right here, this sentence right here, eliminates this. So, said he, included the prohibition because of federal health care overall doesn't ban such communication. In fact, the DSM-5, which is a diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders, which has just been rewritten after 20 years by psychiatrists who have the ability to write the prescriptions for the ADD, ADHD, all of the social gnomes, psychotic medicines. What is the one thing that everybody who wants gun reform, and I call it gun reform, it's gun registration. Let's get serious. Every legislator who is pro-gun control states the ultimate goal is the registration and thus elimination by generations, after 2 generations, the elimination of all private gun ownership. That is their ultimate goal. That's a progressive. And they take it step by step by step. And they have a roadmap and a plan, and they're working it. The new book, if you have a mental deficiency, see, they're not talking about gun control right now. They're talking about getting mental disease under control. And when that cry went very public, this book just showed up out of the American Psychiatric Association. This is a device by plan. If you look at what's been coming out of Washington in recent months, under United in Freedom, a group that supports conservative candidates and Wisconsin gun rights, a gun rights advocacy group, organized a rally for the bill in Madison on Saturday, which is true. Charles Bray, president of United in Freedom, said the legislation is about correcting federal overreach, and I think that's the other article came out was from Charlie Bray too. So if you got nothing to do on Saturday, shuck out to Madison. That's what this gathering is going to be all about. This article is going there. If you look at what's been coming out of Washington, D.C. in recent months, it's more like active resistance. They've been striking at us, Bray said. We need to make sure it's clearly enumerated where we stand and where we draw the line as a state. Donald Downs, a political science and law professor at UW-Madison, said the federal government I'm missing half the article, sorry, compel the state and local officials to assist in enforcing its federal law. But states and their citizens are subject to constitutional federal laws, including statutes stemming from the Commerce Law, he said. For states to pass a law that says, all right, we're not going to abide by a federal law is pretty extreme, Downs said. The thing is, if you don't like it, just go to court. Well, that, again, is a progressive's commentary on what would most conservatives, average people, would say is an undue process by which that someone who doesn't like something has to bear. Now, I'll bet that is the process. If, in fact, you do something, you get a citation, you have to go to court and argue it out. But in common sense, does the law, have to be there so that you get arrested and have to go to court just because you have an idiocy law? For the state to pass a law outright, Sheboygan Falls Police Chief Steve Ripple, president of Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Association, didn't immediately return telephone call and email message seeking a comment. That was late Tuesday. The bill's prospects are unclear. Schra has set a deadline for co-sponsors to sign on Friday, June 21st. Republicans control the Assembly and Senate, but both houses are consumed with passing state budget before lawmakers recess for the summer. GOP leaders are non-committal. Now, isn't that, once again, party? The party's not. You have to take a look at what is good for Wisconsin as a patriot, as an American. Assembly Speaker Robin Voss, Republican of Burlington, said he hadn't seen the bill's exact language. A spokesman for Senator Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald, Republican of Juneau, said he also hadn't had a chance to review the measure. Let's see if I got a gun. I got a link here. I'll send you over there. I don't see one here, but this one came off the AP wire, believe it or not. So anyways, that said, the accumulation of states who exercise states' rights brings with it a caveat that may be more slippery than the existing idiocy of laws that are being proposed. Do your homework, patriots. How many states does it take to have a constitutional convention, which means that you're going to have to open up the U.S. Constitution? There are the progressives, the libtards, and communists, the UN people, the people who want to give your constitutional rights to the United Nations are begging. They are drooling. They have dribble bibs on. We want a constitutional Congress because then we get to talk about anything we want. We can then have manipulation so that America becomes a libtard country with no backbone other than the good of the whole. Dr. Ron Paul, and if you're on the TV side and you're watching, here's what it says. No nation can remain free when the state, and that is a liberal term, meaning federal government entities, not just the state of Wisconsin or state of Michigan or Texas. When the state has greater influence over the knowledge and values that are transmitted to children than the family does. You get that? No nation can remain free when the state has greater influence over the knowledge and values transmitted to children than the family does. An extremely intelligent man, Dr. Ron Paul, and an extremely intelligent comment. I sat in a meeting last night, and I heard an unequivocal communist statement coming from a person that works in the government. We can shut down at will. We don't have to, almost verbatim, we do not have to have a reason to do something. My department has given me complete control. I can do this, I can do that. When asked, well, what might cause you to do that? No answer. On a whim. Almost quote unquote. Does that sound like a republic? I'm just asking. You make your own mind up. Fox says they deliver the news. I'm sure that they don't. I'm asking you, does that sound like a republic? When you have people working in government that flaunt the power that they've been given by the minions that they work for. And that's interesting. It's the minions that they work for. And since I'm on Dr. Ron Paul, let's take a look at a press release that he ran out of here yesterday, huh? Coming out of the AP, Fox News, former Representative Ron Paul, Republican of Texas, told Fox Business News Network that he fears the U.S. government may try to assassinate whistleblower who leaked information about the National Security Administration's surveillance programs to the media. And, you know, I hear the libtards lining up. Whoa, you got your foil hat on. You got some libertarians, you know. They don't respect Dr. Ron Paul. They don't, never have. He's been more of a constitutionalist patriot than 99% of the people floating around in office right now. And I think finally, middle America is starting to understand what Dr. Paul had been talking about for so many years. 12 years, he was an elected official. You don't get elected that long and not have a clear, unadulterated opinion of your Constitution. At least Dr. Paul has. Not these 46 senators who just piss it away. In an interview with Fox Business on Tuesday, Dr. Paul said, see, and I'm adding doctor because that is a recognition of accomplishment. No one ever calls him by his correct credentials. credential, and that's something that he earned. He went up, got off his couch potato ass, and became a doctor. Dr. Paul said he was worried that someone within the U.S. government might try to launch a missile to kill Edward Snowden, the 29-year-old, has been the source of information about 2 top-secret NSA programs. Quote-unquote, I'm worried about somebody in our government that might kill him with a cruise missile or a drone missile, Paul said. I mean, got to guess at that word. Sorry, it got cut off. We are at a bad time where American citizens don't even have rights and that they can be killed. But the gentleman is trying to tell us about what's going on. Dr. Paul, father of Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, Republican, also dismissed a suggestion that Snowden may defect to a foreign nation such as Russia. 2 countries, I think, Iceland, we said that yesterday, Iceland, which I don't really have a picture of Iceland, but that was kind of a cool picture anyway. Or Russia have offered asylum to him, from what I understand. He's not defecting. There are no signs of that happening, he said. It's a shame that we're in an age where people who tell the truth about what the government is doing get into trouble. No, I don't think for a minute that he's a traitor. Now, I don't know about you, but yesterday we had done a thing on whistleblowers. There he is. That's the guy. I mentioned yesterday that for our listeners to be very keen and keyed in on what the press, the people that Obama boy turned on by wiretapping the AP lines, are now, they're just coddling this boy. They're going to paint this guy, didn't dropped out of high school, went and got a GED. Then he went here, then he went there, then he went here, got all these jobs with high security. So the guy's got moxie. Let's not turn him into a demagogue. He's got some moxie. He's got some ability. Apparently, they're natural. And I'm sure I'm tongue-tied here. I'm sure you know certain people in your life that have a natural ability at something. It's like, God, how does this guy do this? How does this girl do this? It's like, whoa. There are people who have, and apparently he's self-taught or he just knows it. I can't tell you what it is. But he went into some places with independent contractors for the government, directly to the government. And now the press is going to paint a picture of him as this wacko. Oh, he never had the credentials. He does have the credentials. He got the jobs. And now he's flipping over. He's rolling over on the government. We got to stop him before he does something. Oh, wait a minute here. Wait a minute. Who is that standing at the podium that Sunday morning with all these talking points about a video that went viral and caused all the damage in Benghazi? These are the same people now who are talking about this guy. Isn't it? Right there. This is the same group of people now. We're talking about this. Right there. She voted to give your rights away to the United Nations. They're going to turn on this guy. And at some point, you have to question, since now we have drones all over the place. What do you think? Is it out of the realm of possibility that this administration would seek to pop this guy? What do you think? I'm thinking probably not. I'm thinking that it is within the realm of possibility that our government would do that to a U.S. citizen. Remember, we can't attack a U.S. citizen unless they're suspected of being a terrorist. In this case, we'll make an exception. He's just a leaker of information. So what the hell, we'll throw that on the list too. If you turn on your government and you tell the truth, we got drones, we'll take care of that. I think Dr. Paul is extremely on target, personally. I think that the chance of this happening is not extreme. I think it's highly probable. I truly do. And the world is not that big anymore. But let's get him in and out of the news real quick. And he says he's got more information to release. I don't know if it's true or not. If it's the truth, one might hope that he does release it. Though I think the one thing that has gotten us into this stage where we are today is that the art of negotiating has disappeared, which has forced people like this to issue the, I've mailed a sealed manila envelope to the local newspapers in case you do anything to me. Go back to your spy movies and your, the international intrigue movies from days gone by. And there was always the fail-safe envelope that was somewhere that contained the same information that we're talking about. If anything happens to me, it's going to get sent to blah, blah, blah. And it happened. I mean, that was at times the way to do things. Now it's gotten to the stage where you got to, even if he had approached, the government never comes out and says this. Well, he approached XYZ boss and because he stumbled on this information or was told about it and he wanted to know if it was true. Many of you in your work environments, excuse me, have that same predicament. You see something going on and it's like, well, I go to the boss, nothing happens. I go to the boss's boss if you can. And it's like, oh, well, we'll look into it. And it just goes on and on and on. And at some point, you say, God, whoa, the hell was that? I think we just took another power hit here. Wow. We're having interesting times here in the bunker. But anyway, at some point you just say, what the heck is going on? Wow. If we go off the air, send out the lifeboats. Anyway, while that's all going on, and we're talking about, maybe that's Riley. Stop it, Riley. Maybe that's my dog. While we're talking about all the leaks and surveillance information that's being bantered about, what happens in the State Department now? We got the State Department coming up with some more yahoos. What was it, last year? An advanced team for the president had their party plans busted. Yeah, prostitutes, some liquor. Yeah, we'll set this up. So now we've got we've got a new batch of fodder going on. And and I didn't grab the pictures, my bad. But we show Hillary standing talking to these yahoos. So he sexually abused a bunch of kids. What difference does it make? That line will never go away. What difference does it make, she says. When I wrote about this yesterday, and there's a link on there, this is coming out of the State Department. Who is this? FrontPageMag.com. Suspected that the ambassador in question was an Obama donor. I was right. And as ambassadors go, Howard Gutman is truly a repulsive character. Now, this is quoting from the writer of the article. In 2011, Gutman claimed that Muslim violence against Jews wasn't anti-Semitic. It was just a reaction to Israel. Maybe he can explain why his sex abuse of children isn't really pedophilia, just a reaction to Israel's settlements. Now, this is an over-the-edge article, so I'm just reading it. It's not my opinion. but it's out there. A State Department whistleblower has accused high-ranking staff of a massive cover-up, including keeping a lid on findings that members of then-Secretary Hillary Clinton's security detail and the Belgian ambassador solicited prostitutes. Ooh. A chief investigator for the agency's inspector general wrote a memo outlining 8 cases that were derailed by senior officials, including one instance of interference of Clinton's chief of staff, Cheryl Mills. So we're like climbing right up the ladder here now. A DS agent was called off a case against U.S. Ambassador Belgium Howard Gutman over claims that he solicited prostitutes, including minors. Quote, the agent began his investigation and had determined that the ambassador routinely ditched his protective security detail in order to solicit sexual favors from both prostitutes and minor children, says the memo. Quote, the ambassador's protective detail and the embassy's surveillance detection team were well aware of the behavior, end quote. Undersecretary of State for Management Patrick Kennedy ordered the investigation ceased. Stop it! Talk to the hand. And the ambassador remains in place, according to the memo. Gutman was a big Democratic donor before taking the post, having raised $500,000 for Obama's 2008 campaign and helping finance his inaugural. Wait a minute. That came from what? One of the 59 states? $500,000 he raised for this, for the old boy. Bashing Jews and excusing anti-Semitism didn't get Gutman fired. Neither did trying to hire a child prostitute. What does he have to do to get fired? Stop giving Obama money? Who else did Howard Gutman give money to in 2008? He donated to Obama, Hillary Clinton, and I guess Howie was hedging his bets to see who could get him in range of a bunch of little kids. Hillary Clinton covered up his child abuse in exchange for a promise of 2016 cash. He's not posting any proof of that. But what difference does it make? Daniel Greenfield, a Shillman Journalist Fellow at the Freedom Center, is a New York writer focused on radical Islam. He's completing a book on the international challenges America faces in the 21st century. And there are a number of pictures, and I should have brought them up, of Gutman with the Smurfs, apparently. But, excuse me. Well, you know, I gotta say, we gotta read this stuff and bring it out in the open, because I guarantee you, you're not hearing this on the 5 o'clock news, are you? I don't think so. Anyways, we'll be right back. We got Just Jim in the morning from the bunker at Lake Wisheyebegone. And we'll be right back after we pay some ads time.
At Hode Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hode Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today.
Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you ready
station.
for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract.
WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Welcome back. Good Ticks and Patriots. Sorry I had to disappear there. You get the bunker. You get the life of the bunker here. It's I had to let Riley, my dog, out. He was very good actually this morning. I haven't played Joe Ligotti in a while. For those of you new listeners that I know are out there, Joe is an interesting guy. The guy from Boston, Joe Ligotti. And this was from maybe a year or two ago. But I think that it's just so much fun, so I play it anyway.
Oh, it's Joe Ligotti, the guy from Boston again, baby. And you know, I got a very interesting email from Tom from Austin, Texas. He sent me an email on a 500-plus employee company. And here are the stats on this company. 29 of these employees have been accused of fucking whacking their spouses around, whether they be male or female. 7 of them have been arrested for fraud. 19 of them have been accused of fucking bouncing checks from here to Chicago. 117 of these pricks have bankrupted at least 2 companies, not 1. 3 of them have done time for assault. All right? 71 cannot even get a MasterCard or a Visa because their credit sucks so bad. 14 have been arrested for smoking dope on drug or other drug charges. I don't know what they're snorting or smoking over there. 8 of them have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 of them are current defendants in actual lawsuits right now. And here's the best. You'll love this one. 84 of these employees this year have been arrested for drunk driving. Are you all right? If you want to know what this company, who this company is and what it does, it's a company that works for you and works for me. That's right, the United States Congress. Absolutely. Don't you love it? These assholes, led by the head asshole Nancy Pelosi, that liberal bitch, who's trying to take away my handguns, letting the fags get married, and taking away my cigars and trans fats. And these bastards got that kind of a record, trying to keep me in line? You! That's right. Guy from Boston, baby, talking about the United States Congress. They're f***ing beautiful. Remember, you were thinking it, but I get the balls to say it. The f***ups over on Capitol Hill. Gotta love them.
Surrounding HIV testing, which is still plaguing so many of our communities, which you all know, a lot of that is due to homophobia. Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, we took a public HIV test for the very point of showing folks in Kenya that there is nothing to be embarrassed about in getting tested. And we did it as a couple.
Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America. She is qualified to be President of the United States of America. She's easily qualified to be Vice President of the United States of America. And quite frankly, it might have been a better pick than me.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? Go! I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Our final witness is Becky Garrettson, president of the Wetumpka Tea Party in Alabama. Ms. Garrettson, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. I'd like to begin with a brief statement. I know that you're primarily interested in hearing about the abuses of the Internal Revenue Service, but I believe it's critically important that you understand just not what these abuses were, but what exactly the IRS was trying to stifle. In order to paint a clear picture, I need to explain how the Wetumpka Tea Party came into being. My husband and I had never been involved in politics before 2008. We'd always been patriotic and deeply proud of our country. We've always felt that the United States is the greatest country in the world. In September 2008, when we had our first $700 billion bailout, we, along with millions of Americans, were very concerned. That bailout was confirmation that our government was out of control. But just a few months later, in January 2009, we learned that our government was going to spend another $787 billion. That money went to foreign nations, failing banks, and unproductive industries. We were worried, and we knew we had to do something to sound the alarm. We knew that government had gone far beyond its habitual deficit spending. The government was mortgaging America's future. And we knew that Washington wasn't going to stop by itself. In the spring of 2009, we learned that others were organizing Tea Party events around the nation to educate and empower concerned citizens who believed their government was out of control. So we made our plans. My husband and I filled out a permit to meet at a local park in our small town. My daughter and I walked through neighborhoods handing out flyers for our April 15th event. When the day arrived, we were blown away by the large crowd. A few politicians came also, but they didn't speak. We wanted to give ordinary citizens the chance to speak their concerns. Our event had no party affiliation. I could not tell you if the attendees were Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. It didn't matter. The only political notion expressed was one that we collectively felt, that our representative government had failed us. And that was the birth of the Wetumpka Tea Party. There are no dues, no price for membership. Our events are mostly educational. Whatever expenses are incurred are paid from donations, by donations and T-shirt sales. In Wetumpka, we are patriotic Americans. We peacefully assemble. We petition our government. We exercise the right to free speech. And we don't understand why the government tried to stop us. I'm not here as a serf or a vassal. I'm not begging my lords for mercy. I'm a born free American woman, wife, mother, and citizen. And I'm telling my government that you've forgotten your place. It's not your responsibility to look out for my well-being and to monitor my speech. It's not your right to assert an agenda. Your post, the post that you occupy, exists to preserve American liberty. You've sworn to perform that duty, and you have faltered. The abuses I will discuss today occurred on your watch, and it's your responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen again. Here are the facts of my case. We applied for a 501c4 in October 2010. Our $850 application fee was cashed 7 days later. We received a letter from Robert Cho dated November 2nd, 2010, stating that our application and our user fee payment had been received. It also stated that we should be expecting to hear from someone within 90 days. However, the IRS did not initiate any contact with us for another 459 days. That was when I received a letter from the Cincinnati office dated February 3rd, 2012. That letter stated that they could not process our application until we completed the enclosed questionnaire, which requested approximately 90 pieces of additional information about our organization. The questionnaire stated that if the additional information was not returned by February 24th, our case would be closed. The demands for information in the questionnaire shocked me as someone who loves liberty and the First Amendment. I was asked to hand over my donor list, including the amounts that they gave and the dates on which they gave them. 501c4 organizations do not have to disclose donor information. I knew that. Why don't they? Among the demands that I found alarming and inappropriate were, they wanted me to identify all of my volunteers. They wanted to know if any of our donors or volunteers had run or would be running for office in the near future. Remember, this was the 2012 election cycle. They wanted us to identify the office they would be running for. They wanted us to provide detailed contents of all speeches ever given, the names of our speakers and their credentials. They wanted copies of written communications and contents of all other forms of communications to any legislative body, including my own representative. I was very uncomfortable with these questions, as you can imagine, and my husband and I discussed forfeiting our application. However, within days of reading through these questions, we knew we were being targeted because fellow Tea Party organizers across this nation were getting the same types of letters and questionnaires. That was when we decided to seek legal counsel. On March 6th, 2012, we retained the counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice, and they represented us in this matter. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Lois Lerner, dated March 16th, 2012, asking that I provide the previously requested information. 4 months later, we received a letter dated July 9th, 2012, stating that we had been approved to receive our tax exemption. This was 635 days after we applied. In conclusion, the Wetumpka Tea Party filled out a complete application. Our organization fell within the boundaries of receiving a 501c4 status. Yet, our application was singled out solely because we had Tea Party in our name. Government agents made invasive and excessive demands for information they were not entitled to. Congressman Camp and members of this committee, this was not an accident. This is a willful act of intimidation to discourage a point of view. What the government did to our little group in Wetumpka, Alabama is un-American. It isn't a matter of firing or arresting individuals. The individuals who sought to intimidate us were acting as they thought they should in a government culture that has little respect for its citizens. Many of the agents and agencies of the federal government do not understand that they are servants of the people. They think they are our masters, and they are mistaken. I'm not interested in scoring political points. I want to protect and preserve the America that I grew up in. The America that people cross oceans and risk their lives to become a part of. And I'm terrified it is slipping away.
Today, again, suggested that I don't understand. It's true. There's some things I don't understand. Today.
That's right. There are some things that you do not understand. Not out of my mouth. I'm going to tell you. You know, if you have not connected with what Becky Garretson said to the IRS about the IRS infractions into her personal liberties in life, you guys need to once again get up off your couch potato asses. I'll give you a quarter on that. You need to connect with that woman. That is a powerful presentation to a high-ranking government body with no fear, brutal, honest testimony of what we the people see is happening to our America. And you're absolutely correct, old boy. You do not get it. You said it. I don't have to. There are many things that you do not understand and you don't give a rat's ass about. It trickles down. It just trickles down. Anyways, we are going to go off to subject matter here. Let's see. I got enough time. Yesterday, I grabbed a story, El Salvador, I believe it was. Yeah. It was just a blog. We have AP wires coming in all over. And today I thought, well, I'll go take a run over to Figi. You know, the wonderful vacation land of Figi. How many people have ever been there? I don't know. I've never been there. But there are a lot of people who go to Figi for vacation. The story comes out. Actually, this was late March, came out. And it's really, I find it fascinating that some of these stories take a week, 2 weeks, a month to actually hit the wire. March 31st, 2013, U.S. smartphone owners tend to be connected from the instant they rise until they fall asleep and revel in every minute of it, a Facebook-sponsored study showed. Smartphones, coupled with rich applications and mobile data services, allow us to connect with our family, friends, and community from the moment we wake up until the end of our day, IDC researchers said in the report that was released this past week. Rather than feeling overwhelmed by it, we enjoy the value of its increased social connectedness. You got to remember, this is just a blog note. This is a newswire coming in. About half of the U.S. population uses smartphones. And this is supposed to be about Fiji, not America. But they're relating that information back to the people in Fiji, I guess. About half the U.S. population, with a number of the people expected to reach 181.4 million people this year and climb to 222.4 million in the coming 4 years, according to this study. A week-long IDC survey of more than 7,000 people, ranging from ages 18 to 44 with iPhones or Android-powered smartphones, showed that 4 out of 5 checked their handsets within 15 minutes of waking. I don't own a smartphone. I don't want my phone being smarter than me. People have a universal need to connect with others, especially those who care deeply about, that they care deeply about. This, coupled with mass market adoption of smartphones, means that social engagement via phones has become mainstream. Once again, create the problem, manufacture a situation, and eventually, if you do it long enough, eventually it becomes mainstream. About 84% of the time spent communicating with smartphones involved email, text messages, or social networks, while only 16% relied on voice calls. Do you find that funny? That as the younger generation integrates into the big society, all you see is this, heads down, da-da-da-da-da, sliding their fingers around on their palm phones or whatever they're using. And by the time you reach about the third or fourth text message, wouldn't it be just easier to hit dial, pick up the phone, and talk to somebody? And I'll tell you, excuse me, while I understand about texting and or multimedia messages, I gotta say, or should I suggest, that the reason it is happening is because whoever's on the other end of that text message is actually not supposed to be receiving or using a personal communication device while they're either working, in school, or in a government tax-supported role. We have a local kid here who won the international or global texting championship. And he does it from his pocket. You know he did it from his pocket. Kids do it nowadays. They reach their hand in their pockets while they're sitting at their desk when you're not supposed to be using phones to text to people either across the room or whatever. Supposed to be studying. But they do it anyway. And I believe this is just an uneducated guess. It's a Just Jim comment that I'm going to bet that 50% of the people who are walking around using their smartphones are actually communicating with someone that has no, quote-unquote, I'll call it legal right. Now, you take a job, there's terms of employment, And I'll guarantee you that using personal communication devices while on the clock are outside of the quote-unquote legal or process of your employment. And as a communications company, the amount of money that's wasted on bandwidth would flabbergast you, the average people, who feel that it's your quote-unquote right to do this. It is not a right is something that you're born with, not something that you walk down to the Five and Dime or the local Wally World and buy. That's an option. That's a privilege. That's your personal choice. It does not bleed into private corporate America, though everybody wah, 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 scream and holler long enough and it becomes the truth, doesn't it? The increased sense of connectedness is the primary reason we use these technologies with the frequency and duration that we do, IDC researchers concluded. A short but interesting, and my question begged after I read that, what does that have to do with the people who live in Fiji? Other than it was just a press release on the use of Americans, unless it is also a release to those who serve vacationers. Whether or not there's even a connectivity map down there, I'm assuming there would be some form. Interestingly enough, while third world, you would think that America rates within the top XYZ of the ability for its citizens to communicate or pay to communicate. Not true. The most connected country in the world is just south of the little man with big problems country. South Korea is actually the most connected country in the world. Now, that said, there is a push across America to get government to reclassify the internet as a utility. Henceforth, government can then shove money at it. We in rural America, as many of you listeners are, and you can get our programming off of, you can go to tunein.com. There's an app that you can listen to us on the streamers via Winamp. It's an audio-only thing. But you got a smartphone. Again, I don't, I already know that you can listen to us on your phones. I also know that there are any number of other ways via web applications that you can watch us both on the TV side and or just the audio side. But it has nothing to do with government providing service or connectivity to the people. It is also a known entity or a figure, percentage, not percentage, fact, that business will not develop an infrastructure to deliver their services in an unpopulated area because it cannot recover its investment in the area. So where does it come up to the obligation of government to pay to put the infrastructure in? Well, this is one of the fights, among other things, the patriots need to get up, have an understanding of, and stand back and say, wow, I'd love to have, XY, great connectivity and do this. Jokingly, well, there's not a bandwidth there to stream a movie. That happens to be a choice that you've made to live here. Whether you can stream a movie over the internet is no concern of mine as a taxpayer. I don't care if you can watch a movie or not. There's a theater over there and a theater 2 over there, 3, 4 over there. Go watch a movie if that's what you want to do. Turn on your television set. Watch a movie if that's what you want to do. That's your choice. That's my America. which is interesting. And I played this yesterday. I'm going to take a couple minutes off, and then we're about out of time. But you can listen to this. You should watch the video. I don't have the video on here, but we will get it eventually. And we have permission to play these, in case any of you want to know. We abide by copyright law.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a defender. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to sacrifice everything, his fortune, his sacred honor, even his life, for liberty and something called inalienable rights that he cannot see but knows he cannot live without. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to ride a horse through sleepy towns in the dark of night, sounding the alarm, entreating neighbors to take up arms against an overwhelming force of wicked tyranny. So God made a patriot. God said, I need someone who, even after crushing defeats, rises up and stands tall. Someone who hears the clarion call that these are the times that try men's souls and does not shrink from the trial. Someone who will cross a frozen river in the dead of winter, when all logic and reason says turn back, abandon hope. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who knows of the rise and fall of great nations, who knows of human nature and the corrupting influence of power and the fragility of liberty. I need this man, along with his like-minded brethren, to write an enduring constitution. So God made a patriot. God said, I need a person, one person, who's willing to do whatever it takes, even write a book to confront injustice and spark a movement that would tear apart a people so that chains will rightfully be shattered and a blessed union eventually emerge. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who, with the love of family and for the love of country, will cross a vast ocean and storm a heavily fortified beach. And, if he survives, charge through 200 yards of bullets and blood across that merciless beach. And if he survives, scale the towering cliffs. And if he survives, begin the long march to free a continent. And if he survives, return home and, with the same resolute determination, rebuild a nation, and someday be called the greatest generation. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will, without thought of self, invest in schools and scouts and church and community, so that the proposition that all men are created equal remains a beacon to enlighten the world, and that such a beacon shall not perish from the earth. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will have the courage to not give up her seat on a bus and thus force a nation to confront its deepest divisions and heal the wounds and pursue the dream that inspires all hearts. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone strong enough to stand against any enemy, foreign or domestic, that would try to steal the freedom so dearly defended, the rights so righteously upheld, yet gentle enough to help a small child carry a star-spangled flag in a hometown parade. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who will speak the truth to his own leaders, that in order to preserve our great nation, we will not sacrifice the well-being of future generations for the sake of our own. Someone who will tirelessly toil day upon night, no matter the setback, no thought of surrender. Someone who will prayerfully rise every morning to climb the wall as a defender, duly endowed with the honored gift of generations before, while offering a solemn promise to generations ahead. A defender who will ensure that the way of truth and the torch of liberty remain forever lit in this shining city on a hill. So God made a patriot.
Yes, indeed he do. He did. And it's a patriot's job to continue that fight. That's what we're all about here in Lake Wisheyebegone. Hey, it's only just Jim. I can't make any differences. So they say. And that's okay. Whatever they say doesn't necessarily happen. I'm going to close off, as always. We close off today. We're a couple minutes early. As always, with Red Skelton's Pledge of Allegiance, which is, to me, as moving as Fred Thompson's thing. If you haven't seen the video that goes along with this, with that narrative we just did, Fred Thompson's, look it up. I'm sure you'll find it on YouTube. We'll bring the video over one of these days when I have time. But anyway, until tomorrow, and tomorrow's call-in day, folks, boys and girls, you can call in at 1-855-490-2300, and we'll talk. Tomorrow's your day. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. You want to talk about what you talk about. That's fine. I got Rush beat by a day. Don't worry about him. Sorry, Rush. So we'll get you in. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. You think I'm full of crap? Come on, bring it on. Doesn't matter to me. But until that time, we patriots agree to disagree. Going in doesn't mean you're going to change our minds. But be good to each other, because that's all we got. When it's all said and done, we're done bitching at everything. It's all that we got left over is each other. So God bless each and every one of you. Have a great day, and have a better tomorrow until tomorrow.
Getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And this is true. I work in the summer, I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?